Miss GoElectric here. Today is Sunday, June 8th, 2025, and this is The Current, your weekly EV news in about 10 minutes. Chinese-owned EV battery manufacturer AESC has announced a pause in construction of its $1.6 billion facility in Florence County, South Carolina, citing policy and market uncertainty. The facility, set to start production in 2026, is intended to produce cylindrical battery cells for BMW's next-generation EVs at its Spartanburg plant. Initially announced in December of 2022, around the same time the battery manufacturing subsidies in the Inflation Reduction Act were to go into effect, the project began with an $810 million investment for a 1.5 million square foot plant at the Florence Global Technology and Commerce Park, with construction breaking ground in June of 2023. Just 6 months later, in December of 2023, AESC announced they would expand their commitment, doubling the investment to $1.62 billion and planning for 1,620 jobs. A further $1.5 billion expansion was revealed in March of 2024, aiming to create 1,080 additional jobs and bring the total investment to $3.12 billion, with a second facility to supply BMW's assembly operations in Mexico starting in 2027. In February of this year, the State Fiscal Accountability Authority voted to cancel $111 million in state development bonds that had been authorized in March of 2024 to support AESC's $1.5 billion expansion for a second battery manufacturing facility after AESC canceled the second plant, saying the production supply of 30 gigawatt hours from the first plant would be enough. Over $1 billion has been invested in the plant so far. An AESC spokesperson stated the company plans to resume construction once conditions stabilize, reaffirming their commitment to the project and job creation. The initial state incentives for the first plant, including $121 million in bonds and $135 million in grants, remain in place to support the project. State officials, including South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster, remain publicly optimistic, urging patience as economic and policy challenges are addressed. BMW spokesperson Steve Wilson told the South Carolina Daily Gazette that their battery assembly plans are still on schedule to begin in 2026. The state of Oregon's Department of Environmental Quality, or DEQ, has announced the reopening of the popular Oregon Clean Vehicle Rebate Program. Eligible applicants can receive up to $2,500 through the standard rebate for new electric vehicles with a battery capacity of 10 kilowatt hours or more, or $1,500 for those under 10 kilowatt hours. Electric motorcycles also qualify for up to $750. Low and moderate income households may also qualify for the Charge Ahead rebate, providing up to $7,500 for new or used zero-emission vehicles. Applicants for this rebate can pre-qualify by completing the pre-qualification application in order to receive a voucher to be used at participating dealerships. Qualifying vehicles must be purchased or leased on or after May 22nd of this year to qualify. Applications must be submitted within 6 months of the purchase or lease date. The DEQ will provide a 30-day notice before the program closes, though funding is limited and may be depleted early as it has in the past. The DEQ also says that if approved applications are submitted after funds are depleted, those applicants will be placed on a wait list for payment in early spring 2026. The two programs currently have a significant amount of funding available. I'll link details below if you want to apply or send this to someone you know. This program can be stacked with the federal point of sale rebate of up to $7,500 for a new EV or $4,000 for a used one. As we mentioned in a previous episode a couple of weeks ago, a bill is currently pending in the Senate, which could end the federal incentive as soon as December 31st. This now may be the best time for Oregon residents to get into an EV. Geely sub-brand Polestar has announced that their 2026 Polestar 4 is now on sale in the US and Canada. With a starting price of $56,400, the Polestar 4 fits in the lineup as a coupe-style SUV with a single-motor rear-wheel drive 400-volt architecture and 100 kilowatt-hour battery with a 300-mile EPA estimated range. This base version outputs 272 horsepower and delivers a 0 to 60 mile per hour time of 6.9 seconds. The all-wheel drive variant offers up to 270 miles of range and pumps up the power to 544 horsepower with a 0 to 60 mile per hour time in 3.7 seconds. The dual motor can also tow up to 3,500 pounds. As far as rear cargo capacity goes, buyers can expect 18.6 cubic feet of space with the seats up, including the underfloor storage in the rear, and a tiny frunk with 0.5 cubic feet of cargo capacity. The Polestar 4's DC fast charging rates hit a peak of 200 kilowatts for a 10 to 80% charge in as little as 30 minutes. Level 2 charging reaches up to 11 kilowatts. The vehicle has Google built-in infotainment and wireless Apple CarPlay compatibility, along with connected services with access to apps like YouTube and Prime Video. One of the more controversial features of this vehicle is that it lacks a rear window. Instead, a digital mirror system gives drivers a view of the road behind them. Would you buy a car with this kind of setup? Production for North American customers will begin this summer in South Korea. Polestar has partnered with French automaker Renault to manufacture the Polestar 4 in their plant in Busan. First deliveries are expected this fall. Products coming out of South Korea currently face a baseline tariff of 10%. Reciprocal and automotive-related tariffs that are initially set to 25% have been paused for 90 days and are on schedule to resume next month. They have discontinued the sale of their made-in-China Polestar 2, but Polestar's production movement into South Carolina, South Korea, and Belgium has helped the brand remain active in the US amidst changing policy. I spent much of 2019 traveling all over Europe and North America, educating consumers with pre-production vehicles alongside the global launch team for Polestar. It has been tough to watch the brand struggle and lose more than 90% of its peak stock valuation. What more do you think the Chinese brand needs to do to succeed in the US market as a premium performance brand? CarMax, the nation's largest retailer of used cars, has unveiled a series of strategic initiatives aimed at enhancing the used EV buying process for customers. The company announced a partnership with Recurrent, an EV battery data research and analyst firm, to introduce an advanced battery health assessment tool ensuring transparency and confidence in used EV purchases. Additionally, CarMax is offering a $200 credit for the installation of select in-home chargers through their partnership with Treehouse, a software-enabled installation platform for electrification projects. CarMax revealed they also invested in both Recurrent and Treehouse as a sign of commitment toward the EV market. To further empower buyers, the company launched the CarMax EV Hub, an online resource providing educational content to help buyers determine if an EV is right for them. They also have added a badge on CarMax.com to highlight vehicles' potential availability for the federal used EV tax credit. Even if it's better late than never, it's encouraging to see more companies invest in EV education. Recurrent consistently plays a role to that end. I'll include a link to an interview with the Recurrent CEO, which I published as the used EV tax credit was announced. In that interview, he did a great job of explaining how their company determines battery health of a specific vehicle based on data alone. This week, the New Jersey Turnpike Authority ordered the removal of 64 Tesla Superchargers from 8 service areas along the New Jersey Turnpike. The decision comes as the NGTA opted not to renew its contract with Tesla, choosing instead to exclusively partner with Apple Green Electric to install universal chargers. The transition began at service areas including Vince Lombardi, Woodrow Wilson, and Walt Whitman, with plans to expand across all 21 Turnpike locations. Tesla, which has already activated 116 new stalls off the Turnpike, expressed disappointment, calling the move a setback for New Jersey's goal of 100% zero-emission car sales by 2035, stressing that NGTA is better off adding dispensers rather than decommissioning and replacing a functional station. Tesla Charging on X said, We offered the NJTA above market commercial terms, including offering to build superchargers at all New Jersey Service Plaza and with equipment upgrades, such as screens and NACS with CCS1 Magic Docks. Tesla always advocates for more infrastructure and co-location with additional third-party charging providers. This drives down costs through optionality and accelerates EV adoption by having sufficient capacity to shoulder peaks. We expect that about 30 times more fast charging capacity is needed to get to full EV adoption. Applegreen is a network operator. They do not manufacture EV charging hardware. Tesla does both. When service is needed for third-party dispensers, response time could take longer and uptime reliability is important for this type of infrastructure. These existing locations using Applegreen Electric branded dispensers by the Turnpike Authority appear to be banks of 4 dual-cable 400 kilowatt SK Signet equipment with CCS connectors and a single NACS connector per location. Applegreen fees are currently 35 to 40 cents per kilowatt hour at these locations, according to PlugShare. As Tesla Charging on X points out, half of New Jersey EV drivers drive NACS vehicles, and fewer than 1% have NACS to CCS1 adapters. Elon Musk says, "It sounds like corruption." Do you think exclusive contracts like these meaningfully hinder EV charging usability and EV adoption? Well, those are our top EV news stories for today. This weekend, I published a detailed review over at our Ride Reviews channel featuring a powerful budget moped-style e-bike called the Hovsco Hovgtrs. I'll include a link to that in the description if you're ready to get outside and have a blast on 2 wheels. If you found value in our coverage, we ask that you share this video online and be sure to subscribe so that we can continue producing this show. Thank you all for joining me this week, and until next time, drive, fly, ride. Go electric.